Hello students, let's continue with the next concept here, that is socket programming. Okay, so far we have seen about peer-to-peer application, that is BitTorrent, and then we also have seen about distributed hash table. Now we'll move on to the next concept of socket programming. Okay, yes, so first of all, to begin with socket programming, we need to know what is a socket. Correct? Okay, so first, to understand about the socket, we will just take an example. Okay, some real-time example, right? Okay, yes, let's take an example of an apartment. Okay, assume this is an apartment A, which is in say Udupi. Okay, this is an apartment B, which is in Mangalore. This is Mangalore apartment and this is Udupi apartment. Okay, now in Udupi apartment you can see say there are many people in an apartment. Say in Udupi apartment there is one house in the apartment, wherein in that particular house we have a family residing, wherein in that family there are many people. Okay, many people in the sense around 10 people residing, okay, in a particular house in an apartment, and that is an apartment A in Udupi. So now what these people are doing in that, among many people, those who are residing in one house in an apartment, one person writes a letter. Okay, and that letter is written to a particular person, and that person is now residing in Mangalore in an apartment B. Okay, and again in that apartment, in one particular house, again there are many people. In that, among multiple people, there is one person for whom a letter is being written by a person, that is friend, who is residing in apartment A. Okay, so you're understanding, this is an apartment A, which is in one location. This is an apartment B, which is in the other location. So in an apartment there is a house wherein many people are residing, and in that particular house, among multiple people, there is one person, say John, has written a letter to one person, James, who is in Mangalore in a different house, residing in an apartment. Okay, so now tell me what John is going to do when he is writing a letter. He will write his from address. What is his from address including? From address is his building address, right? Building address again includes his street, his state, his location, his area, his pin code. Along with that, he also writes his flat number, or he writes his door number there, right? So the flat number is important. Why? Because it's not enough if the letter just reaches his building. The letter should reach his particular home, his particular house, his particular flat wherein he is residing. So his flat number or his door number is very much important, correct? So his flat number also is going to include in his letter, right? So that address, what he writes is his address, his own address, from address. Along with the from address, to address also has to write in the letter. So that to address is destination address. So what is the destination? His friend's address. So again, is it enough if he writes just his building address, his area, his street, and his building name? Is it enough? No. His door number also equally important. Whose door number? James' door number, his friend's door number, who is supposed to receive the letter, correct? So he has written to address, from address. So to address includes his building address plus door number, whereas from address, that is from address, again to address also he has written his friend's building number plus his friend's door number. So everything is included in the letter, and that letter is going to pass now. That letter will be posted by John. He is going to put that, say he is going to post that letter. Yeah, once the letter is posted, postman will carry all the way from the post box till the destination. So again at the destination with the help of the address, true address and the door number, which has the door number and the building name, he will reach the particular building, and he will reach again there the particular door, and the letter will be delivered. So for whom the letter will be delivered there? He's going to read out the name there, what John has written. So the name, friend of John is James, right? So what is he doing? Postman will look for James only. So he is going to now hand over the letter to the friend James only, right? So there are many people, there might be many people in the home, at home, but James only is going to receive the letter because the letter is to him, correct? So that is the procedure. Again, if James want to write a reply, same procedure is involved, right? So this is our real time example. So just see here, the delivery of the letter is happening through the door, right? And wherein postman got the door number also. With the help of door number, postman could correctly locate the destination, and he has delivered the letter through the door there, right? So remember this concept, right? Okay, so again, if this person wants to write a reply, same procedure is involved. Again, John will receive a letter, again through his door only he is receiving the letter, wherein James might have written the proper door number, correct? Okay, now let's map this real world example to this networking. Okay, right? So what exactly is the writing a letter here, or who are the people residing, what is an apartment here, and what is the door here, what is the to address here, what is the from address here in networking? Let's see all that. Okay, yes, just see here. In networking, you can just see here this. What is this exactly? Protocol stack. Do you remember the stack, networking stack that we have? 5-layer stack, 7-layer stack. Yeah, 7-layer stack you call it as OSI model, whereas 5-layer stack you call as TCP model, right? So here, now actually TCP IP model is followed. And you can see here there is one person sitting here in one location. He's using his laptop or he's using his desktop. He's going to type a message, or maybe he's going to type an email, and that message or email should be sent to his friend, and his friend is again somewhere in US or somewhere in some remote location, and that friend, US friend, is going to receive, he's again using his system, and he is going to receive his message or email, right? Similarly, this person also sends a reply back. Again, the friend will receive in India the message or email. So how the communication is happening between two systems across through the across the remote location, how the communication is happening, right? Okay, that we have to see here. You just see here the protocol stack, or you can say this is a networking stack. What is this stack actually? This is actually the stack that is of this system, right? So that is maintained at this system A. I'll call this as system A, or let me call this as host A. Host A has this networking stack which is in his system, and topmost layer is application layer. So what is this application layer here in this stack? This application layer is the one which has multiple applications running. So as a user, I'll be running web browser, I'll be running music player, MP3 player, I'll be running video player, I'll be also running MS Word application, my PowerPoint application, or Paint application. Several applications I might be running. I might be running some coding software, some tool for performing any such platforms. All these are the multiple applications running in my system. So those applications are handled by me as a user, right? So I'm controlling those applications, I'm using those applications. All those applications are running at the topmost layer, and you call that as application layer, and their individual such application, I'm calling it as a process. So I'll call MS Word application as a process. Why? Because when I open the MS Word document, when I start editing or when I start doing something with the document, that particular application becomes a process. Okay, so whenever I run any application, whenever I'm using any application, that application will be converted into a process. Similarly, if I'm opening code blocks software, so I start typing the code or something, their code block is an application. The moment I start working with the the code blocks also will become a process running in the application layer, right? Suppose if I want to play a music there, so mp3 player, some mp3 player I'm going to use there, that also becomes a process running in my application layer. So I can have multiple processes running here parallelly in the application layer. Yes, so once that is done, after my application starts running, similarly I can also open a web browser wherein I'll open an email, open my Gmail or something. I'll open my inbox, so there I will type an email. Okay, once I type an email, or I'll be using one more messenger wherein through which I am going to send a message, right? So there also one more process will be running, right? So the moment let's take one example here for a process, and that process is a messaging process. Okay, let me take an example of a messaging process. I'll be using one messenger here at my end, and that messenger, the moment I start running, the moment I start composing the message, that messenger will be converted into a process. So that process is totally handled by me. I'm going to use that process. I have run that process, and the moment I type the message, and once I press the send button, my message is now completed. My message is ready now to transfer, right? So my message, when I'm typing, I'll be sending the recipient's address. I'll be writing the recipient address along with my from address, right? From address is the one that is my own address. Recipient address is my friend's address for whom the message has to be sent, correct? Okay, so now from address is there, to address is there, along with that my actual message, whatever I have typed, that is also ready. Okay, so messenger is my process that is running at the application layer. Now my message will be directly transferred, not directly transferred to the destination. My message will not fly to the destination. Instead, my message will move on to the next layer in my networking stack. What is the next layer in the networking stack? Transport layer. So what is this transport layer exactly here? Transport layer is the one where you have several features included in it, like whatever the message I have sent, that message will be securely transferred by this transport layer, or in other words, my message, transport layer will ensure that my message will not be lost anywhere, my message will not be delayed, or my message will not be corrupted. So all these extra security features will be provided by this transport layer here. So my application layer is the one wherein it has allowed me to draft the message. Once the message is drafted, the moment I press the send button, my message will be moved on to the next layer where extra security is added. Now in between this application layer and transport layer, can you see this yellow box? What is this yellow box there? Yes, I'll just go back to my previous real-time example what I had taken. There I said this is my apartment. In my apartment I have I'm residing in one particular house in one particular flat in an apartment, right? One particular house which has a particular door number. So assume this is my house in an apartment, and in my house I have a door, a common door, and that door is this yellow box. All the letters or anything that I have to get, if I have to go out or come in, or if I have to receive a letter or do anything there, it should come via this door only, right? Similarly here, all people residing inside the house is nothing but processes. So there may be many processes running, or there may be many people residing in the particular house. So this is a door, yellow thing is a door, and this process are nothing but the people. So process is one person inside the house. This is a door. Now every door has a door number, right? So here also in networking stack, you just see in between this application layer and the transport layer, there is one door, and you call this door as a socket. And what is that socket? This acts as a door, that's all. This acts as a door via which all the messages will be entering into the application layer, or it's a door via which the messages will be moved out of the application layer to the next layer. Now just now I have typed the message, drafted the message. The moment I press send button, my message will pass through this socket only, through this door only, to the next layer, and the next layer here is transport layer. Correct? So did you all understand how the message is transferred through the socket? Yes, the message is transferred through the socket here. It has reached the transport layer. Now transport layer will add its own features. right? And it's in the transport layer you have a very important protocol running, that is two protocols running. One is TCP and the other one is UDP. So if you are opting for TCP, or if your application wants TCP as its transport layer protocol, then TCP is the one which is responsible for reliable data connection. Reliable means secured data connection. Whatever message you have transferred in order, without any loss, without any corruption, without delaying, your message will securely reach the destination if you are using underlying transport layer protocol as TCP. Or if you are using an application like Skype type of application, video conferencing type of application, there the moment you type something or the moment you say something, that becomes a message, and that message will be again transferred through the socket only. But this time at the other end in the transport layer, instead of TCP, UDP will be used. Why? Because UDP is a connectionless protocol. UDP is the one which will not provide you so much security. Whatever the message or the data what you're transferring, that some of the portion may be lost. For example, when you're using Skype, some of your gestures may be lost, missed out, or some portion of the words what you have spoken might be lost because of network glitch, right? So those that type of disturbances you may face if you are using UDP as a protocol. But that is absolutely okay in video conferencing, right? If such things happens, you can restart, or sometimes you can repeat the words, right? So that is absolutely okay in video conferencing, where UDP is more suitable. Okay, so once that is done, you just see here socket is acting like a door here, and that door is in between application layer and transport layer. So once your message reaches the transport layer, your transport layer will add up several features, reliability and all that, and then transfers the package to the next network layer, and through the network layer again the next link layer is transferred, and finally it transfers to the physical layer. And here exactly the physical connection is established, or you can say through the internet here, using wireless media, anything, your message is finally transferred to the destination. But for your message to reach the proper destination, what is required there? To address, destination address is very much important. As I already said, your from address includes what? Your own address. Whereas to address includes your friend's address, destination address, right? Like how people, when they're writing a letter, when a person writes a letter, that letter is delivered through the door only, and that letter goes out of the door, and that letter will be carried by the postman, right? And once he carries the postman carries the letter, he has to reach that letter to the proper house, proper destination. How is he doing that? Through the destination address what this person has written. So the destination address. Now tell me, in network, what is source address and what is destination address? Source address is nothing but the IP address of your system, which is unique. Again, when destination address, when I'm saying, that is the IP address of your friend's system, destination system, friend system's IP address. So IP address of your system and IP address of your friend system are nothing but from address and to address respectively. Remember, okay? So that means when you reach here, when the postman has to carry the letter to a proper building, he need to have the proper building name, proper address. So that you call it as proper destination address. Okay, now tell me, IP address I have included my own IP address, which acts as a source address. Destination address is to address, which I have included as which I have included in my message. When I'm sending the message, I have included this. So IP address of my friend system I have included. Now with the help of the IP address, my message will directly reach my friend system. In my friend system, who is going to receive my message first? Again, in my networking stack, in the networking stack of my friend system, you can see it's a physical layer. It is from bottom to top, the message is getting transferred. So in my system, from top to bottom, the message got transferred. But whereas in my friend system, at the destination, message is transferring from bottom to top. So what is the bottommost layer in the networking stack? It is a physical layer. So which is received here, in the binary form, in the bit format, the message is received. Whereas here, while sending, message will be converted into bits or binary number. So your binary bits are received here at the physical layer, and then slowly your bits will be transferred to the link layer, and then your network layer, and then comes to the transport layer. In transport layer, reassembling is done. Reassembling in the sense, all message whatever you had got in the binary format, which was in the form of multiple pieces, those multiple pieces of your message will be brought together and will be converted into the understandable format, because because in the application layer, I don't want any message in the binary format. I want my message back in the proper string format only, in the character format. So transport layer will reassemble the contents and it will convert it into understandable format. Now tell me, the transport layer, whatever the protocol I had used in my system, that same protocol should be running here in my friend system also. If I'm using here TCP, here also at the transport layer in my friend system, TCP only is used at the receiving end. Okay, so TCP is used here, and after that, now it's the time to deliver the message. Now tell me, at the destination, here there is a door. Only through this door the message should be transferred. Correct? So there are many people residing inside this house, and in this house again there is a door. Through the door only you have to deliver the letter. So this door is the one. In order to reach to this proper door, I need to know what? Door number. Remember. So there can be multiple houses here in the apartment. So in order to reach the proper house, I need to know the proper door number, and that proper door number is nothing but the socket ID. And that socket ID, there's an alternate name for that, that is port number or port address. So what is that? Every socket or every door has a proper door number. Similarly, every socket has a unique port address. So here, for the message to reach the proper destination, first your message has to reach the proper door or proper socket. So proper socket is found how? Through the proper port address. So here you see a source address. When the person is writing a letter, he's including from address. That from address is his own system's IP address, plus he is also including one more address there, that is his door number. What is his door number? It's nothing but his socket's port address also is included in from address. Correct? So his own address is his IP address plus his port address. His door number he has included, and along with that he has also written the to address. What is that to address containing? His friend system's IP address plus his friend's socket's port address also is included in to address. So with the help of these two pieces of information, your message is reaching the right socket with the proper port address, plus from there the message will be directly handed over to the right process. There may be many people residing in the house. Again, to the proper person, to the proper process, one who is supposed to receive that message, it will be delivered to the right process. Okay, right? So did you all understand how the messages are getting transferred? So messages are always getting transferred only through the socket. Without socket, message cannot enter or cannot leave your application layer, or in other words, message cannot be delivered from one system to the other system without this socket. And where is the socket residing? It is residing exactly in between application layer and transport layer. So every socket has what? A unique port address. Like how your system has unique IP address, every socket will have unique port address. So again, one more question is it only one socket available in my system? No, there can be multiple sockets available in my system, whereas those multiple sockets will have unique port address. Remember, okay, here only one socket is shown, but there can be multiple sockets existing here in between application and transport layer. But remember, those multiple sockets will have unique port number. I mean multiple port numbers, different port numbers. Similarly, the receiving end also, there can be multiple sockets with multiple port addresses, but remember, all port addresses are unique. Okay, so this is how the socket actually works. I hope you have understood this. Okay, so now let's continue with our socket programming, how this can be implemented in network. We will see with the next thing. Okay, here I will continue with this. I'll tell you with the first thing. So we will start with the socket programming. Actually, as I already said, there can be two types of protocols. There are two types of protocols running in the transport layer. One is TCP and the other one is UDP, right? So similarly, when I have a sockets here implemented, say when I implement a socket, suppose if the transport layer protocol is TCP, I should be implementing TCP socket only. There are two types of sockets. One is TCP socket, the other one is UDP socket. So when my application wants TCP as a protocol, then in that case my socket should be TCP socket only, both at the sending side as well as at the receiving side. Suppose if my application is wanting UDP as a protocol, in that case UDP socket only should be implemented both at the sender side and receiver side. Some examples for TCP applications. What are the examples for TCP applications? For example, email, messaging, message transfer it can be, or it can be remote, if you want to access any search engines, okay, if you want to search something, or if you want to obtain any information from any websites, all these are happening through TCP protocol only. Why? Because here you're not ready to compromise with any security. Email, when you're sending, you don't want anybody else to read your email. Messages also same way. Website also, when you're going through any website, there also you don't need any intruder there, right? You don't want that. So all these are happening through TCP as underlying protocol. What about UDP? See, TCP, when I say, it is always connection oriented. Their security is given more importance. Correct? Handshaking principle is there in TCP. What is handshaking? First connection is established among sender and receiver. After connection is established, next the actual data transfer takes place. So this dedicated connection between the client and server is happening only in TCP. Whereas UDP, no dedicated connection is there. There can be what you call it as connectionless protocol, UDP, whereas wherein see, for example, Skype type of application, you don't need a dedicated connection between you and your friend. It is a connectionless, and whatever you have spoken, you cannot assure that everything what you have spoken, all your gestures will reach your friend. Some of the words may be missed in between. So that such protocol which is not so much reliable, you call it as UDP. So now let's see the programming part. First we'll start with the UDP socket programming. Next we'll move on to TCP socket programming. So we'll see the first one, UDP socket programming. Okay, yes, we will take one common example for both UDP and TCP socket programming. And what is that example? You just see here. See, I'll just tell you in simple words. I'll tell you. Yeah, this is me and this is my friend, correct? Or in other words, I'll call this as client and this person as server. Okay, let's not take the friends concept. Now I will take the client server concept. This is a client and say this is a server system. And you know what is the role of server? Server's job is to always send the data, requested data to the client. Client's job is to always request the data to the server. Now, as a client, what I will do here is I will just type one sentence. Okay, as a sender or as a client, I will simply type one sentence. Remember, the sentence what I'm typing in my system will be all in lowercase, say. Okay, I'll type one sentence and that sentence has all lowercase characters. The moment I press enter, my sentence or my input what I have typed will be directly, I'll be sending that to the remote server. So what my server should do now? Server should receive my input sentence what I have typed. Suppose if I have typed hello, hi, how are you? All the letters in this hello, hi, how are you? All will be in small case. What I expect from my server is my server here, this server should convert my sentence what I have given hello, hi, how are you should be completely converted into uppercase letter. That's all. I have typed all the my case, whatever the case I have used for my input is lowercase. I want the server to convert my sentence into uppercase completely. So server's job is to read the input, the complete sentence which is in lowercase, and convert that lowercase sentence into uppercase. After converting into uppercase, what the server should do? Send back that uppercase sentence to the client. So what the client will do now, after receiving this uppercase sentence completely, that sentence will be displayed on client's screen. Okay, so basically this is the problem, and for this particular problem now we have to write a program using the socket programming technique. So I need to write two programs. One program should be running at the sender side or at the client side, and the other program should be running at the server side or at the receiver side. Okay, so I'm going to use here for this particular problem, I'm going to first implement UDP socket. Through UDP socket now I will try to send the input or the sentence, lowercase sentence, from sender to receiver, and the receiver will convert my sentence into uppercase, and that converted uppercase sentence will be sent back to my system or client system using UDP socket only. So both at the sender side and the receiver side, UDP will be running. So we will see how socket is used here. Okay. See, the concept remains the same. If at all anything has to be sent, it should be via application layer to the transport layer, that is via which? Socket. So every socket here should have a unique port number. So my sentence will fly from my system to the destination system, that is a server. So for my message or for my sentence to fly here, I need to know what? The destination IP address, plus I need to know also the destination port number. That is also required. So here my sentence will fly here at the server side. Once it reaches here, with the help of destination port address, it will enter into the server side, and once the server receives this input sentence which is in lowercase, server's job is now to convert that lowercase sentence into uppercase, and now my output is ready. The sentence is converted into uppercase. The same way now the message uppercase sentence will transfer via the socket. It will reach via the socket. It has reached the physical layer. Now it has to reach back to the client. For it to reach back to the client, it should know the client's address, destination address, right? So server also should know the client's destination address. So client's destination address will be known to the server. Why? Because from address is included in the letter. Same way here, from address is included in the sentence when the sentence is sent. So with the help of that client's IP address, it will reach here to the physical layer, and with the help of port address, source port address, that is this client system's socket's port address, with the help of source port address, it will directly enter into the process running here at the client system, and the client will receive the message. This time the message that he has received is completely in uppercase, and that will be displayed on his screen. So that is actually procedure. So we'll write a program for that. Yes, so I'll tell you directly we'll go to the programming part here. Okay, just see here. So we can start with the server side program first, and then we'll move on to the client side program. Yeah, so or both we can start together, not a problem. Okay, first I will start with the client only. So first is the sender or the client. As I already said, first his job is to type a sentence, but before he types a sentence which is in lowercase, he has to do a certain job. So what is that first important job client has to do? He has to create a socket first. He has to create a door in his system, and that socket is created with the help of this function socket, 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 and there are two parameters for this particular function. The first parameter says that it is using IPv4 addressing format, addressing scheme, and the next one indicates sock_dgram. So here, since I am implementing the socket, I am creating a socket at the client side. What type of socket I am planning to create? I am using which protocol? UDP as underlying protocol. So the socket what I am creating is a UDP socket. So remember, whenever the data is transferred using UDP, you call that data as a datagram. So looking at the second parameter, one will understand that it is the UDP socket that you are creating. So datagram is the term that you are using for data that you are sending when UDP as a underlying protocol. Remember, for UDP, datagram is a term that is used for data or the message that you are sending. Now you see which socket is created here in the first step. It is a UDP socket created here because the second parameter is dgram. So once you call this function, once this function is called, what happens? It is going to return the socket. It is going to create the socket, and the moment you create the socket, you will be getting one important information with that. What is that? The port address will be assigned to that created socket. A unique port address will be assigned. Who is going to assign the unique port address? See here, this is a built-in function. The moment you call, socket is created, and when the socket is created, a unique port address is assigned to that, and that assigning job is done by underlying operating system. Okay, and that port address will be returned here. So client socket variable will contain the port address of its own socket. Done. Okay, so that is our source port address now. Okay, so our client socket is created. Same way at the server side also we need a socket. The same UDP socket should be created at the server side also. Yeah, so there also you can see here the function is the same function used. Socket here, like how we use socket function here at the client side, same way socket function is used. First parameter is inet. Which indicates the IPv4 addressing scheme, and then you use here what is it, datagram, which indicates that it is a UDP socket that you're creating, and it returns now the port address. This time what port address? It is the server side socket's port address is returned, and that port address will be stored in server socket. Okay, so your socket is created, port address also you have got. Okay, so first stage is done both at the client side and server side. So what would be the next stage? The next stage is, here you are ready to create one packet, or you are ready to create a datagram, and this time your datagram should contain what? You are ready to send the data now from the client to server. First step should be taken by the client itself. He has to first type the input message, which is in lower case, right? So that message should be now typed, and that message will be converted into a great datagram. When you say a datagram, that datagram should contain two parts. One is the message that you have typed, the sentence that you have typed, plus one more thing is the address part. So what is that address part that you're going to include here? That address part is nothing but you are going to write the destination address for whom you are sending that data. It is the destination server's IP address you have to include. Along with that, one more information is server's port address also you have to include. So whenever you are writing a letter, you need to write the destination address, and that destination address in network includes two important information. One is destination's IP address, one more is destination's port address. So both you are including along with the actual message. So that message is now transferred to our server side. So where are you sending actually? To the server side. And who is going to receive at the server side? It is the socket which will receive first the data at the receiver side. Okay, now read the datagram. And after reading the datagram, what is the server's job? That input sentence which is in lower case should be now converted into uppercase. So uppercase, once it is converted, and now the sentence is ready, output is ready in uppercase. Now that should be again converted into datagram, and that should be sent as a reply to the client. So the datagram, when I say again at the server side, it should include two things. One is the message. This time the message is completely in uppercase, and the next part is address. What is the address here? This time you have to send back to client system. So do you know the address of client system? Yes. So client has actually sent initially data wherein from address also is included there. So when you're sending back the reply, from address is known there to the server. So from address is what? Client's address. So when I say again from address, it includes client's IP address plus client's port address, right? So that is included, and now that the reply is sent back to the client. So once the reply is sent back to the client, what the client does? He is going to read the data, and once the data is read, he is going to next display that particular data in his screen. And once that is done, anymore is not going to use his socket for any further transaction. So that socket he can close it. So he can close that particular socket at the client side. You're understanding? So here your client has created the socket in the first stage. Server also has created the socket in the first stage. Once both the sockets are ready, the next job is he has to at the client side, he has to send the input. He'll type the sentence which is in lower case, and now he is ready to send the data along with the message, input message. He will also send his from address plus to address, right? So to address includes server's IP address and server's port address. From address includes client's IP address and client's port address. So now the message, once it reaches at the server side, he will now be ready to write the reply. So once the uppercase it is converted into uppercase, next again he will send back the reply to the client's IP address and client's port address. So once the client receives it, now he's displaying that uppercase message on its screen, and finally he closes his socket. Remember, in between this client and server, there is something called a buffer here. Buffer, you can assume it as a container. It is something like, see, when the client sends a message, first he will put that message into the buffer. and that buffer contents will be read by the server. It is something like a box, post box. Client will post a letter into the post box, and from the post box actually postman receives it, but here assume that letter is taken out from the buffer and that letter is read by the server. Okay, so buffer is shared between client and server, you can say, or you can say it is there is a client side buffer and the server side buffer. Client puts the message into the buffer, and from the buffer it will go to the server's buffer. Server will read the contents from the buffer. So again, when the server is sending back the reply, he will put the contents into the buffer, and from that buffer it will reach the client's buffer, and client will finally read the message, output message, and display it. So there is a buffer in between server and client here, remember. Okay, now the same concept is shown here again. Okay, I'm not going to explain this. That same diagram is shown here. Yeah, this is the program which is in Python actually, and this program you're going to write in Java in your lab as well. So that will be your one of the lab program. So here this program is not written in Java, it is written using Python. Okay, so just see, this is a client side program wherein UDP, you can call this as UDP client or UDP client socket programming. Socket is implemented at the client side where UDP is a protocol. Now you see the first line here. What is this first line? This indicates the package, and socket is the package which you have to import. Without this package you cannot create any socket. So this package is required both at the client side as well as at the server side, and this is mainly used for creating the socket. So as previously explained, the first stage is what? Creating the socket at the client side. So you can see here, first before creating the socket we will initialize some things. Okay, first is I need to know the destination address. Server's IP address is stored here. If I don't know the IP address, instead of IP address I can also include the host name. If I know only the server's host name, so what do you mean by host name? Host name is nothing but just the what is that? For example, google.com, gmail.com, hotmail.com, all these are the host mails. So if I just know the address, website address, I can include that as my server name. So remember, this IP address only is required, but if I don't know the IP address, simply I can give the website address. But tell me, in order to develop the connection between client and server, can we simply have only the host name there? Is it enough? No, I want the IP address also. IP address is very much important for developing the connection between client and server. So for that IP address, who is going to help me out? Converting host name to IP address, who does? It is DNS does, right? So if I give the input here, server name as host name, then DNS will convert host name to IP address. Instead of host name, I can also directly specify here IP address, not a problem. Next is what? This is our destination IP address. This is destination port address. So destination is actually server. Remember, this program is written at the client side. This first part is destination address, and next one IP address or host name. This is destination port address, server's port address. So what is this port address? 12,000. So this port address is the one which is actually used by the server. So server sockets port address is 12,000 and server system's IP address or host name is this particular thing. So once two things are initialized, now this is the first stage of creating socket at the client side. So what is the function to create the socket? Socket, and the first part is IP address, second part is socket datagram, which indicates this is a UDP socket. So once this is called, what it is going to return? It is going to return the port address of the newly created client socket. So that newly created socket's port address is received, and now that is stored in this client socket thing. Okay, now once this is done, you are ready now to input the message. So now the next function is called raw input. This is the function which will display the string there, input lowercase sentence. This is simply a sentence like how you use printf statement. So this is a package of printf plus scanf. So printf statement will simply print the message, input lowercase sentence. Scanf is the one which will start reading the data, right? Similarly here, raw input will simply display the string, plus it will start reading the characters which is in lowercase, right? You have to type the lowercase characters. So that typed message is stored in a string called message. So string message contains your input data. Now you are ready to send the data. Yes, but remember, if client is ready to send, the message should be sent with the help of what? client socket only. So it is through the door only your message should go away, leave your system. So through the door only your message should leave the system. So here you are ready to send the data. Now you have a function called send to, but remember client socket must be used to send the message. So client socket is used, with the help of which you are calling the function send to. With the help of the socket, now you are sending the message, input message. And remember, when you're sending the input message, you don't forget to write the destination address or to address. So what is the destination address here? It should have two information. One is server name. If you know the IP address, you can include here directly. And one more is destination, that is server's port address. So 12,000 is a port address and this is actually the host name. Both you can include here. You should include here along with the actual message. So you are ready now to send a message? Yes. The moment you do this, your message will be sent. Now till this part, sending part is done at the client side. Now after this part, you can see this next part, next 3 lines. This is actually done when? After the server sends back the reply. So what would be the server's reply? Server's reply is what? Your input sentence will be converted into uppercase. So that server should be doing that. So once he returns your uppercase sentence, now at the client side you are receiving that reply, and you see how the receiving of reply is done at the client side. You just see this part first. Client, through the socket, client socket only you should receive the uppercase sentence or receive the message. See, receive from is the function that is called through the client socket only. So receive from is to receive the reply. Send to is nothing but the function to send the message. See here how I said you have to receive the contents. It is through the buffer only. So server will put the contents into the buffer, and through the buffer you have to receive the contents. You have to read the buffer, and you can see here 2048. What is it? It is the size of the buffer, limit of the buffer. So 2048 is the size of the buffer. You are using a buffer from which now you are reading the contents. What is that contents that you have read? So you have read the contents, and that content is nothing but the uppercase sentence what the server has prepared for you. So that uppercase sentence is read, and you can see that uppercase sentence is stored in a variable called modified message. So uppercase sentence is directly stored in a variable modified message, but along with that you actually get one more information there. So what is that one more information you get? You actually get along with that from address also. What is that from address? Server has sent you the reply, right? So server, when it has sent the reply, from address is nothing but server's address. But that is not required here actually, right? So when you're receiving the actual message, modified message, uppercase sentence, plus along with that, server also has sent his address. But already I have a copy of that. Not a problem. Since he is sending you his address, you store that address. You store that in the variable called server address. So this server address is the one which stores server's IP address and IP address. Okay, yeah, so that is stored over here. Done. So anyways, server address and modified message is received, and once this is done, client is simply displaying that particular modified message, that is uppercase sentence, and after that socket is no more used. So that client socket is going to be closed. So once the functioning is done, once all the once you are done with the things, you can close the socket at the client side. Okay, so this is how your UDP client programming is written. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Yeah, so all these are used. Yeah, so we'll go to the next one, that is UDP server. So you are writing a program at the UDP server side as well. The same package is imported, socket. So without this, again here server side also socket cannot be created. So first you import this package. Now at the server side, what is the port address that you're going to use? At the server side, you need a door. So that door's port number is nothing but 12,000. The same port number, remember, at the client side also we have used. Don't mismatch that, right? So server port number is 12,000. Yeah, once that is done, what next? At the server side also you need to create a socket. So socket is created at the server side. Same function is used, socket function. Again same two parameters, that is IPv4 addressing, second one is datagram. So once the socket is created, you can see here the address of the socket is returned. That is stored here in server socket. Okay, right. So since here the port address we have already assigned, what is that? explicitly we have assigned a unique port number 12,000 to server socket, right? So since that explicit assignment is done, I don't want this port address what's after calling this function socket, a port address is returned and that is stored in server socket, but I don't want that port address. I want which one? I want this 12,000 only. So explicitly I'm assigning this port address to my socket, so that I am going to use. So for that explicit assignment, I am going to use a function called server socket.bind. So what is that bind? I am going to bind this 12,000 port number to this newly created socket. So bind function is the one which will assign server port. Server port includes what is the value it is stored in this 12,000. So that 12,000 is bounded. You can say that 12,000 value is bound to the newly created server socket. Remember, at the client side we have not done this binding thing. Why? Tell me. I don't want their explicit assignment of any port number to client socket. So there what I did, I simply called socket function, and after socket function is called, my OS only will assign the unique port number, and that port number or the port address is was storing in my client socket. But here that implicit assignment I don't want. So I want to assign 12,000 as a port number to my server socket. So bind that 12,000 to server socket. So this 12,000 only is used both at the client side and server side for sending and receiving the message. Remember. Okay, so 12,000 is server side socket's port number, not client's port number. This is server's port number only, 12,000. Yeah, after that, now the server is ready to receive. Yeah, server's job is to receive the input message first and then start doing the things. Now you're going to enter into the loop. You're going to enter into the loop. So what is this loop for? What is this loop for? Yeah, you can just see now. You are now listening to client 1. So this is the first client who is sending you the message, right? So that particular, you are now entering into that loop in the sense you are now reading the first client's message. So what is that? You have received just now the message from the client. What is this message containing? The input sentence in the lowercase characters. So client has received that, and you can just see there is a function called receive. The same function is used at the client side also to receive the uppercase sentence from the server. Now this time you are receiving, this function is called at the server side in order to receive the message which is in lowercase from the client side, correct? So here also at the server side the buffer is used whose size is 2048. So from the buffer you read the contents, and now the content is the input message which is in lowercase. So that message you directly store in a variable called message, and along with that from address also is received. So what is a from address for the server? For the server, from address is client's address. So client's address, whatever IP address and port number that is received, you store it in a variable client address. So client address has two parts, port number and IP address of client side, what you have just received, along with that input message. So once you are ready with this, now you do the thing. What is that server has to do? Convert into uppercase. That is a function used here. Message, input message will be converted into uppercase using this function. So input message is this variable message dot upper will convert, and that output will be stored in a variable called modified message. Now your modified message is the one which you have to send back to the client. So how are you going to send back to the client? Again the function is send to. This send to was first used by client there, right? So now at the end server will use this function send to in order to send this modified message. So through the server socket only, you are sending the message. Similarly here also see, you have received the data only through the server socket that you have created. So sending the message or receiving the message is happening only through the socket here. Remember, only through the door. So server socket sending the message. So this time what is sending? The uppercase sentence. That modified message is sending to whom? He has already stored the from address. From here he received the input message. To that client only he has to send back, right? So use the same variable client address which already has IP address of the client and port address of the client, and send that particular message to the client. So this is how the UDP sockets are implemented both at the server side and receiver or the client side. Okay. So This is all about UDP sockets. Now the last part is socket programming with TCP. As I already said, there are two protocols, UDP and TCP, running in the transport layer. If my application is Skype or conferencing, video conferencing type of thing, then I'll be using UDP sockets. I'll be using UDP as the protocol. So UDP socket should be implemented. But TCP is the one which is most widely used for all possible applications. Maybe it is mailing or messaging or streaming. So all such applications we are using TCP as a protocol. So in that case, TCP socket should be implemented both at the client side and server side. See, all the concepts are same, but few concepts differs here in TCP. We'll see what is it. Okay. Remember few concepts about TCP. In TCP, you have one client. I'll show you here. In TCP, you have a client and you have a server. Client will send first the message to server. First client and server has to develop a connection. So what is that connection establishment? First client should ask the server, may I request you some data? May I get some data from you? Or client should first ask the server, are you ready? Can I ask you something? So that requesting is happening in first stage. So after that first stage, server will respond. If the server is free, server will say back the client that, send the reply to client saying that, yes, I am free. You can ask anything that you want. So server will send back the reply in second stage, saying that he is ready for connection establishment. He is ready for his receiving the client's request. Now once this client receives the server's reply, client will start asking the data. So, or you can say client will send the server, ask the server for any home page, or he can send the email to the server, or he can send any message to the server or anything. So what is that happening in the third stage? Client will start sending the data to server in the form of request maybe, and now in the form of host name, website address and all that. So where the server in the next stage will start sending the reply. What is that? Any home page of the website or reply, anything. So server will start responding back to the client. So this is all happening in 3 stages, right? First stage is what? Client is asking the server, are you ready? Server will send back the reply in the second stage saying that, yes, I'm ready. Third stage is the actual data transfer happening between client and server, and you call this entire process as three-way handshaking. So this three-way handshaking is happening only in TCP, and this is why you call this TCP as connection oriented. Connection oriented means what? One dedicated connection is established between this client and server. Dedicated means what? This connection, whatever is established, is only for this particular client. There can be n number of clients all over the world asking for some data with this single server, right? Not just one client. There may be n number of clients who are asking the data for the server with this server. But server will, in order to, but the server, what will he do? He will maintain dedicated connection with individual client. He will maintain dedicated connection with individual client. So what is going to happen there? One client will not overlap with the other client, or server will not overlap with multiple clients. So dedicated connection is established between each client with the server. So you call this as dedicated connection. And remember here how this connection establishment is done through sockets. We'll see about the sockets here. Yes, so as I already said, client process you have and the server process you have. In our handshaking, the first part is what? Client is requesting the server, asking that, is he ready? So how is this request message transferring happens? That is happening through the socket only. So you just see here, client has a socket. Client has a socket first. Client is, as usual in UDP, also client had created a socket. Same way here also in TCP, client will create one socket. Now, through this client socket, he is sending the request message. So, what is that request message? This is just to ask the server whether he is ready. Now, here you see, server has created one socket, and that socket is called welcome socket. What is that welcome socket means? You can also call this as server socket or welcome socket. This welcome socket, what is this? The name itself indicates welcome. This is to welcome the client. Okay, so if the server is ready, then server will send back the reply to the client saying that he is ready. Correct, no? So at this socket, all clients are welcome. Server is ready to listen n number of clients through this welcome socket. But whether all are welcome, whether all clients are welcome here at this socket, no. See, server will be listening to everybody's request, but when he is responding, the connection establishment is happening only with one client. See here, connection establishment is happening only with one client, but the other client should wait until this connection is completed. Correct? Until this transfer gets over, until this connection is closed, the other client should wait there. So this welcome socket is the one which is open to all clients. N number of clients can send the request to the server. But when the server is responding, that success message will be responded to only one of the client there. Okay, to one of the client. Rest all the other clients have to wait. So here you see client socket is created at the client side through which the request is sent to the server, and to which socket at the server side? It is to this welcome socket the connection request message is sent. So once the server receives that at the welcome socket, the server should respond back saying that he is ready. Correct? Again he will send the respond back to the client saying that he is ready, but at the same time when he's sending the response back, he will do one more job. What is that? Server will create a new socket at the server side. So what is that new socket? And you call that socket as connection socket. What is the meaning of this? Server, after accepting the request, only after accepting the request, he has created this new socket called connection socket at his side. So once the new socket is created, remember this connection socket is used for next data transfer which is happening in the third stage. In the third stage, now actual data transfer begins from the client to server and server back to the client. So all this is happening. This data transfer is happening through this connection socket. Okay, so connection socket is the one through which data transfer is happening. Once the data transfer is completed, then the connection socket is closed. Welcome socket is not closed, only the connection socket is closed. That is how the dedicated connection is broken once the work is done. Okay, right? So welcome socket is the one which is open to all clients, but once the welcome socket, once the server accepts the request, then at the server side one socket is created, and that one socket which is created is for one particular client only. So dedicated, you call this as dedicated connection socket, and through this connection socket only your actual data transfer begins. So remember, in TCP, two sockets at the server side and one socket at the client side. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So this is about the sockets in the TCP side. Okay, remember this concept. Now we'll directly jump to the programming part. Like how we had in UDP, same way here also. But here we'll start with the server side. We'll start with the server side first. Yes, so first server side, he will create a socket. Once the socket is created, yeah, you can assign one unique port number to that socket at the server side. Remember which socket you're creating first. Is it the connection socket or the server socket or the welcome socket? It is first the welcome socket which should be created at the server side, you remember. Okay, so at the server side, first welcome socket is created, and for which you assign one port number, and this as port is equal to X. So socket is a function, so create a welcome socket first, and after that is created, now you are at the server side, he is waiting for the request. It is at the welcome socket the client's requests are accepted. Okay, yeah, you can see wait for the incoming request. Now at the client side, there is one client. That client has created a socket, and that socket has a port number. Now what is going to happen next? Yeah, this client, one who has created a socket, has sent a request to this server, remote server. So to which socket this connection establishment request is sent? It is to this welcome socket. The request is sent. So once it is received, server will see if he is ready. If he is ready, then he is going to accept the request, and immediately after accepting, the server will create the second socket. What is that second socket? It is connection socket. What is created? You can see connection socket. So the moment you call this accept function is called where you are sending the request to which server socket. You can see here server socket dot accept. Server socket means what? You are receiving the request through welcome socket, the first socket, and after, if he is ready, then he will accept it. So once he accepts, a new socket is created, and that new socket is connection socket. That is the second socket, which is now going to be dedicated for this requested client. Next is our client is now ready to send the second stage. I mean, you can say this is now the third stage. So in the first two stages, sending the request and sending the reply is happening. Okay, now in the third stage, actual data transfer should begin, and this is actually the third stage. Send the request. So what is the sending the request means? If we take our previous problem, you type a sentence which is in lowercase, and that sentence is sent as an input here to the remote server. This time, to which socket you are sending the input message? You are sending the input message which is in lowercase. That message is sent to connection socket only. Connection socket. Okay, done. So our connection socket will read that sentence, and after reading that sentence, as our server has to convert it into uppercase, so after that, that reply will be sent back to the client socket. Okay, the client side only one socket is there. So after that, our client will read the reply, display that uppercase sentence, and he can close his socket once the things are done. Now what this server has to do after sending the reply, he must close the connection socket what he had created for this particular client. Why? Because only after closing the connection socket for this client, the server will be now ready for opening the next connection, a new connection for the new client. Okay, so if the server wants to develop a new connection with the new client, then he has to first close the connection that he had established to this with this particular first client. Okay, so close the connection socket. This was not there in UDP. This is a new thing happening in TCP. Okay, rest other concepts are same. Buffer is maintained here, through which the contents are getting transferred. Okay, yeah, now directly we will come to the programming part. So I'll just tell you some differences only. Rest other things you will understand. You can see here, first sentence is from socket. This is the same thing, package. Now here, this is a client program. Okay, TCP client program. You can see here, the first step is what? Host name or the IP address of the server or destination is included. IP address of the server. And second one is port number. So whose port number is this? Server's port number. Which socket's port number? Is it the welcome socket's port number or the connection socket's port number? It is the welcome socket's port number you include here. Why? Because first client will be sending the request to welcome socket only. So it is the welcome socket's port address what we require here. So 12,000 is the welcome socket's port address. Now client is going to create his socket. Same procedure, socket is created, but one difference you have here. You see the second parameter, it is sock underscore stream. It is not dgram. Dgram indicates which one? UDP as a protocol. Stream is the one which indicates TCP as a protocol. Okay, so AF underscore INET, that is the same thing, IPv4. Sock stream indicates TCP as a protocol. Now client socket is created, and that socket, client socket will return his address, port address, that will be stored here. Now the next step is using this socket, you send the, using this client socket, now you send the request only. So that request is what? For the connection establishment. That request should be sent to the server. So again, when you are sending the connection request to the server, to which port of server you have to send? You can send the connection request to the server's welcome socket only. So you have to include here, in order, when connect is the function that is used to send the connection establishment request to the server, wherein you are including server's IP address or host name. Along with that, the port address 12,000 you're including, and the 12,000, remember, that is the welcome socket's port address. So you are sending the connection request to welcome socket of server. After that, connection establishment request is sent. Next, the server will send back you the reply saying that yes, I'm ready to receive your connection. Now you're resuming that. Server, not assuming, actually server, it is the connection is established. Now the client will enter the input message, which is in lowercase. So the function is same, raw input, wherein the statement is printed, and now the client also will type the sentence, which is in lowercase, and the input message what he has typed will be stored in the variable sentence. Now the client is ready to send the sentence. This time he is sending the sentence again through the client socket what he had just created. So at the client side only one socket is there, and it is client socket. So send is a function which is used. The variable is sentence. So he's ready to send the sentence. So after, till here, it is the sending part that is happening at the client side. Now anymore, he has to he has to wait for the reply from the server, right? So once he gets the reply from the server, you can see client will receive. So this time the message, the function is recv, receive. This time again, he is receiving through a buffer, and the buffer whose size is 1024. So he has received the buffer. This is the buffer maintained at the client side. Okay. So that buffer is through the buffer, he is going to read the content. So remember what he has received. The information that he has received here is the modified sentence, the sentence which is in uppercase. So that uppercase sentence is stored in modified sentence, and that particular sentence is finally displayed here at the client side. Remember, the address is not stored separately like how we did in UDP, or address is not used anymore here. Whose address? Server's address. Server's IP address or server's connection sockets, port address and all is not received, or it is not, we are not interested in all that. We are just receiving the sentence which is in the uppercase. So wherein in UDP we had received the client's, server's port address also. But here that is not happening. So only this output is received here, which is stored in modified sentence, and displaying is happening. And now you close the client's socket. Okay, so only two differences. One is socket stream, and next connect function. This is for connection establishment. And then here it is when you're receiving the uppercase statement, that is the output message from the server. That message directly you store in the variable called modified sentence. That's the only difference here. Okay. Now coming to the server side, here you have few changes. What is that? First sentence remains the same. Second one is what? Port address 12,000. This time you remember, this is the port address that you're using for welcome socket only. Next comes our function socket. Same way how we did in client side, TCP client. Stream only is used, which indicates TCP. Yeah, this time which socket you're creating first? It is welcome socket that you're creating first, and you name that welcome socket as server socket. So this is the first socket that you're creating, and remember that welcome socket should be bound with the port address 12,000 only. I don't want any other port address for this welcome socket. It is 12,000 only. I've used the same in client also, client side also, right? For sending the data. Yeah. Then bind. Yeah, this is the one which binds 12,000 port number to our welcome socket at the server side. So after binding is done, now this is the next new function. What is this saying? You listen. Now the server at the welcome socket started listening to the clients. So listening means what? N number of clients may be requesting. So all those N number of requests will be listened by the server at the welcome socket. After listening at the welcome socket, server will respond to only one of the client. So listen, and here 1 indicates the client 1. Now you simply print a message called server is ready to receive. That means what? Server has accepted the request of client 1. So once the connection is accepted, you can see here in the second part of the server, that is the second socket should be now created. So how is that created? Using the function accept. So here welcome socket is created first. Now using this welcome socket, you accept the request. Exception means what? Accept is accept this client's request and now establish a new socket, that is the new connection socket for this particular client only. So server socket dot accept is welcome socket. Using welcome socket you have accepted, and a new socket is created called connection socket. Along with that, this also will return port address of this connection socket. A new socket is created here, and that new socket is connection socket. Along with that, the port address of the connection socket also is written, which is stored in ADDR address. So this is done. Your connection socket is ready. Now what next? Client has sent you the message. So that message is now received at the server side. So who is going to receive? Any more welcome socket will not receive the data or message anymore. It is the connection socket's job. All the data transfer is happening anymore through connection socket. So connection socket only should receive, right, the contents, and again where through the buffer he is reading the content. This time what is the server reading? He is reading the input message that the client has sent, and that input message is lowercase sentence. So that message is lowercase sentence that is stored in the variable sentence. Now it's the server's job is to convert it into uppercase. So sentence dot upper is converting into uppercase, store it in a variable called capitalized sentence, and now server's job is to send this capitalized sentence back to the client. So what function is used? Send is the function used, and through which socket is sending the data? Reply, that is modified sentence. It is again through the connection socket only, because the data transfer is happening only through the connection socket. So connection socket send, using this he is sending back the capitalized sentence to the client. So once this is done, don't forget to close the connection socket. Once the things are done, so this connection socket should be closed. Why? Because the dedicated connection should be broken for that particular client. Only after that server can listen to the second client. Okay, so connection dot socket dot close should be called after things are done. So this is how the TCP server programming is implemented. Okay, so far we have seen all possible concepts like TCP socket programming, how the TCP sockets are created, how the UDP sockets are created, then how the programming is done. Okay, the difference between TCP socket and UDP socket. So through the programs we have discussed, you have in the lab to implement this TCP socket separately and UDP socket separately. Two programs you have. So with this our module 1 application layer concepts are completed. I hope you have understood. Yes, thank you.